Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Rise and Shine with the Alabama Cares program. Thank you for joining us here on WEAC TV 24 this Friday morning, March 7th. If you missed last week's show, you missed a good one. I introduced my team, so go back and watch it on the Facebook page or on YouTube. And today, I have another person from East Alabama Regional Planning and Development Commission. And unlike myself and prior guests who work in the aging department, my guest today is the Director of the Planning and Development, and his name is Eric Wright, and he joins us today to talk about his team's role in the community. Welcome, Eric.
Thanks so much for having me.
Okay, and before we get into specifics here, I want you to let the audience know, tell us a little bit background for our audience. What is the Planning and Development Department? What does it do, the history of it, that kind of thing? Because I think I've explained to our audience before that there are 13 area agencies on aging, and they all fall under a Council on Governments or a Planning and Development Commission. So we're a Planning and Development Commission, but you're the Director of Planning and Development Department.
Right.
So what do they do?
Right, so our team really helps expand the capacity of the local government, so those cities and county and town governments across those 10 counties. So whenever they've got a problem, a project that they need help with, we kind of swoop in and kind of help them with those projects, whether that's a grant, a plan, or a mapping need. We go in and work and kind of help expand their capacity and make sure that they can find funding and do projects in their community.
So you help municipalities.
Right, so that's our main goal, is helping those local governments, so those mayors and city councils and county commissioners. We're sort of their
go-to?
Their go-to. We're their sort of backup. We're their team.
Okay, okay. So, and I know it's a little bit confusing because it's a little bit confusing for me too. I mean, and I've been there 24 years coming in May, but and I love to learn. I love to learn what everybody does. And I've always known that we've done mapping and we're over the transportation here in Anniston, that kind of thing. But what are the current major projects that East Alabama is actually working on to improve transportation and the infrastructure in East Alabama?
Sure. So one of the big things we're working on right now is the community development block grants. That's a funding structure that we get through the state and through the federal government. And so we're able to help folks handle things like water and sewer and road projects in their communities. So we go through an annual cycle every year, and we help those communities find that funding, and we make sure that they help develop those grant programs so that they're competitive and they actually get those dollars in their community so they can do projects. I'm a little bit competitive. I want to make sure our mayors and our counties and our cities get as much money that we need, because we know we have a lot of needs in our community. We have some really thriving communities, but also some communities who, through no fault of their own, have just been dealt a bad hand and need some help on doing things like water and sewer. Those are such vital things that people need every day. That's local government provides that.
You got my wheels spinning now. So, okay, so roads. Let's just focus on that for a minute. So roads. I mean, you know that. I mean, we all know that the state and the county. I mean, and the city. You know, they're different owned.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
So, do you help these different entities like the city, the county, or whoever? Do you help them tap in with the state, or how does that work?
So the state has a variety of competitive grant programs where we do go in and help folks write grants to help those cities get those state dollars to repave a road or to resurface or do some drainage along the road to help preserve a road.
Right.
But there are some county roads that the state or the county maintains. The state maintains some state routes. We don't really touch the interstate, but we do help support those communities through some different grant programs and some different planning efforts where we are able to help people prioritize what's going to come up next.
Well, there's a graphic up here too about an application for grants.
Right, the community development block grant that I mentioned before, that's what that flyer's are about. And that one, it really focuses, like I mentioned, water, sewer, maybe some blight demolition, and then road projects.
Wow.
So those are some big projects. Those are big ticket projects that folks might not have the money to do on their own, so we're able to help them.
Especially like your smaller municipalities.
That's really kind of our sweet spot where we're able to help.
Because I'm thinking cities like Montford or those type, little way small.
Exactly. we currently have a CDBG project in Munford right now, so they won't be eligible to apply this time, but we're working on that one for them right now. But those smaller communities, that's where we really have a pretty big bang for the buck. We're able to help them go to the state and ask for money in a competitive way and help them make sure that they spend it and follow all the rules and all those exciting things.
That's an interesting, very interesting.
And with 10 counties, we have our work cut out for us. So all the way from Cherokee County up top, all the way to Chambers and Tallapoosa.
Yep, same counties as my program covers too, and that is a lot of counties. I mean, that's a lot of counties.
We put some miles on the car, just like y'all do.
Yeah, I bet you do. So, and that's interesting. So you have grant writers on staff.
So our team is made up of, we have a mapping department, we also have planners and grant writers, and the planning and the grants work together, where we're able to plan what a community needs, and then we're able to turn around and execute through our grant writing and grant administration to help our folks write competitive applications, but then make sure that they follow all the process along the way. Grants aren't just free money. We tell folks that there's always strings attached, and it's the golden rule. Whoever has the gold makes the rules. We help those communities, especially the smaller ones, with the processes to make sure that no one's coming and asking for the money back.
Right, exactly. So you have to follow the rules.
All the rules.
I'm very aware of that too. Yeah, especially when it's coming from federal money or state money. You kind of have to keep up with that, and if they're wanting documentation, you have to give them that documentation and all that good stuff. Right,
that's exactly right. The documentation is a big piece of it. When they come to close out a grant or close out a project, we make sure that those communities are situated in a good spot so that we can help make that process as easy as possible.
Oh, wow. So how does the Commission collaborate with local governments and stakeholders to address the region's planning needs? You said, again, that part of that you already answered, but you can elaborate a little bit more on that.
Sure. One of the things that we do that kind of sits under the radar for most folks is called the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy for East Alabama. It's quite a mouthful.
Yes, okay.
But what it does is every few years we get a group of stakeholders together of economic developers, elected officials, folks who have a good pulse on what's going on in those 10 counties, and we say, what are those big needs across our region? And we pull data and we run some studies and we figure out what that is, so that that way we have a really good strategy for our entire region, and that helps us go make that case when we are applying for grants. It says, hey, there is a need here, and this is how we're going to help our community meet that. And so that process.
So you're talking about like mayors, county commissioners, maybe council members.
And folks who are involved in economic development, those folks who are helping bring big industrial projects or retail projects. Those folks are all folks that have a seat at the table to say, these are the things that we see in our community that we're missing. Like,
do you ever have like town meetings, that kind of thing too?
So our comprehensive strategy, that's for entire region. So we bring together folks that are representing their entire region, but we do local planning. So we will go into a community and help them develop a comprehensive plan for a community and say, these are the needs in Anniston or Oxford or Jacksonville or Talladega or whatever community we're in. We'll help them develop a very targeted strategy, and that just is for their community, and it's comprehensive though. It looks at their housing, it looks at their health care, it looks where their parks are and the roads are, and helps them come up with a really specific strategy.
Wow,
so we help plug in those dots
there's
along the
a lot more to it than people think there is, right? That's very interesting. So, and the role of the East Alabama Rural Planning Organization and transportation planning for rural areas, I know that that's a need, because I know that I'm just thinking of my clients. We get calls all the time, of elderly that can't make it to their doctor's appointments or whatever, and in the rural areas that need transportation. So elaborate on that a little bit.
Sure. So our rural planning efforts are important. They don't quite get as much visibility as doing roads and bridges in more urbanized areas, but when we're able to kind of raise either safety issues or needs for new roads or transportation issues, we're able to take those and help facilitate when a small community a county commissioner might bring us an issue through our RPO and say, this is an issue, and we'll be able to help facilitate with the state and help raise that priority and say, that this is a project that we need to find some funding for and help that community meet that need. We're also able to help, as you mentioned, with our help facilitate some conversations around the transportation needs, the transit needs, so the paratransit, all of those pieces. We're able to partner with our transportation team at the commission to meet those needs.
Oh, wow. So again, the Rural Planning Organization, which is what the RPO
RPO,
is.
yeah,
we're all about some acronyms.
Yeah,
right?
we are bad about some acronyms. I'm trying to be on good behavior this morning.
Yes. I mean, but it is what it is, right? I mean, everybody says, you work where? And I'm like, EARPDC. What's that? Yeah. So, and if you have any questions today about any of this, I mean, they can call you, right? Mm-hmm. But if you have any questions about planning and development, do not call 1-800-H-LINE. Instead, you would need to call 256-237-6741. So that would be the best way, don't you think?
Absolutely. And we have a great opportunity to work with our mayors and elected officials in our communities. So
that's another way that they can get
so really
ask questions.
Working directly with their local elected officials is a great way to connect with us that way.
So with all these road projects and everything, and you talk about mayors and then city administrators, city directors, or what have you. So they work very closely with you, I would assume, right, with all of this.
Yes, we work hand in glove with all of our elected officials every day. They're the boots on the ground, and we're kind of their backup support. So we're always working with our mayors and our city council members, our county commissioners, county administrators, all of our elected officials to help make sure that their projects that they have in their community kind of become reality.
And when you were talking about sewage and water projects, that's like maybe, and I'm just asking here,
sure,
that's like if they need to replace like old pipes or anything, is that like one of the projects maybe that would be?
Sure. That's exactly the type of project we work on every day. So whether it's helping rehabilitate a sewer lagoon or sewer pipes, a lot of our communities have really old terracotta pipes. Some places even have wooden pipes still in the ground.
Oh, wow.
That are very old. And or asbestos pipes in their sewer side. So we're able to help them replace those and make it more efficient. So it helps everyone's rates stay down.
And that's always a good thing. And we will talk more with Eric about all of this, and it's time to recognize our sponsors. We are going to take a short break, and you are watching Rise and Shine with Alabama Cares program right here on WEAC TV 24, and don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
I want to live. The leading cause of death of young Americans like me is gun violence, and oftentimes tied to substance misuse. NBA, NFL, NCAA, most of you look like me, and our communities need you now more than ever. Let's make I Want to Live more than just a hashtag. Let's make it a movement. I am a baller against bullets.
Whether you are traveling or on the rebound, get with your local Allstate and huddle up to find the best options for you. With a strong variety of coverages to choose from, Allstate is on a mission to get you in good hands today.
At Bentley Prosthetic and Medical Supply, we care about you. We offer custom prosthetics, orthotics, diabetic shoes, and durable medical supplies. We're located here in Alexandria, Alabama, where it's a country feel but professional care. Come see us today.
Cutter's Pizzeria is celebrating 5 years with 2 locations in Alexandria and Oxford, Alabama. Open Monday through Saturday for dine-in, takeout, and delivery. Y'all come on out for our popular 5-pound pizza, wings, salads, pastas, and more. You can find out more about Cutter's Pizzeria at cutterspizzeria.com.
Welcome back, everyone. You're watching Alabama Cares Rise and Shine this morning on March 7th, and it's early and the weather's not wanting to know what it wants to do. But we are here. We're here with Eric Wright this morning, and we're talking about the Planning and Development Department at East Alabama Planning and Development Commission, and some interesting things. I've learned quite a bit too. So what challenges does East Alabama face in terms of economic development, and how East Alabama Planning Commissions, how do they address those?
Sure. So I mentioned before, our study that we keep for our region really looks at what is important for economic development. We know from our stakeholders that education, healthcare, and workforce are some of those big things that kind of perennially are some challenges. Workforce also connects directly to transportation. People have to be able to get to work.
Correct.
And people have to be able to make sure that those industries have ways to get their items to market and all that. So transportation is another big one for us. So our team really plugs in with those developers who are actually working to recruit those industries. We make sure that they have good data to support and help make compelling cases when those industries come to town.
Oh.
But then when there's a gap, that's when we kind of step in and help them find funding.
Okay. So things that you would never really think about, and one just comes to the top of my head, like when Honda came.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that was a challenge for transportation, because they would have to get their product out.
Right.
So, so they would have to recruit people and recruit industry maybe or transportation industry to help them do that.
Right, and that's one of our things that our team really helps with, is looking at that long-range visioning kind of component. A road doesn't happen overnight, sewer doesn't happen overnight,
Correct.
water doesn't happen overnight. So when a community is looking at bringing economic development, they have to be thinking a long ways out, and moving all the puzzle pieces into place to make sure that they're able to land that Honda or Mercedes or whatever that is, that big industry. And that same kind of strategy happens at a smaller scale too. So when a community has a site for a new plant, making sure that they have the water and the sewer and the roads,
That's a
and
lot
all
of
those
components.
things, and making sure that their schools are prepared and
Right.
they have the workforce ready to go. So we help them plug in all those different projects to make sure that they have what they need.
And people don't I didn't even realize that, because you don't really sit there and think, okay, well, why doesn't this business come in, or why doesn't this business come in? Well, there's a lot to that, right? A lot.
There's a lot to it, and it's a long curve, and so sometimes folks get a little frustrated that they don't have something now, but I think maybe it's helpful to know that there are developers and there's planners and there's folks that are working to help get those pieces in place, so that when the time's right and it's going to be successful, they're able to lure in that next big thing.
Right, and I think a lot of people don't realize too. I know that I've talked to some mayors before that say this, that well, why do we have 10 car washes and all these gas stations and all this, and I had one mayor tell me one time, he said, well, I'm not going to be picky if somebody wants to bring in a business, to the city. I'm not going to tell them what they want to build, that kind of thing. But they also don't, I think the public doesn't realize too that there's a lot more that goes into it from you. Like you said, you had to collect data and everything as well, because I know a lot of your bigger, I guess, restaurants, bigger like things that are like, I guess, franchised or whatever, they look at population and everything too, don't they?
Right. Our developers in each of our communities has some economic developers who live and work in those communities and do great work there, and they're able to be those sort of advisors for the advisors and recruiters for those mayors and those county commissions to help them bring the right folks. And we're there to help with that strategy for the entire region, to say, hey, we've noticed that there's a gap here. Maybe there's an opportunity to diversify our economy here, and help them look long term. And then they're the folks that are actually making those deals and helping those pieces come into place in real time. And we're there to kind of support and help give that long term view for them.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah, because I think like just a person just in the public, I think that we don't get it a lot of times, about what all goes in, what it entails, to get businesses to come in, and because you're having to talk to the elected officials, and then there's just all these components to it. So it's not, like you said, it's not something that's going to happen.
It doesn't
just
happen
right
overnight,
there. Yes.
but it's work that needs to be done, and has great rewards when it all is said and done.
Right. And how does the commission's, I know a lot of people don't even know what this is, the Geographic Information System. A lot of people don't even know what that is. And I hear it all the time, GIS, from some of the workers down there on the second floor. I hear it all the time. But what services benefit member governments and regional planning efforts? I mean, what is all of that? Explain that.
Sure. So a lot of it's just kind of fancy words around mapping. So our team develops computerized maps and helps us, again, to collect data and to kind of show where things are in relationship to one another, and it helps us analyze that data on maps. It also helps when we are mapping out roads. You all of a sudden see what are the qualities of a road here or there. Our team helps develop maps that are used by county commissions and city councils for redistricting, so setting up where people are, what district they're going to be in for the next elections. So we've worked across the region. Very important there. So all sorts of things like that, where we're helping, making sure people are able to make good database decisions and giving them the good mapping about where things are in their community and where there might be where things might not be, so where there might be opportunity to build things.
So where, besides the municipalities that use the GIS, the mapping, who else would you, what other instances would people, or who would use those maps? I mean, would the state, the county, the feds, I mean, what all does that entail? Because I know it's very important. We don't realize that it's happening right there in our agency, but I realize that it's very important.
Gotcha. So there's a lot of mapping that goes into our planning efforts as well. So if you think about a zoning map, for instance, and if you live in a specific city, whether you realize or not, there's certain rules about what you can build where. So we help communities map where those certain things are allowed to be used and where and what zoning can happen. So that's a piece that really has a lot of public-facing kind of perspective. So we do work. We don't necessarily do all the census maps and all that. All that data comes from the federal government through the Census Bureau, but we're able to help package that and make sure folks in communities are able to access and really utilize it really well. So if they need a specific map, a local government might reach out to us and say, we need a map that shows this or that in our community, and our team is really excellent at helping track that down, whether it's water lines or sewer lines. All those things have some GIS properties, so at the end of the day, you've got to know where that pipe is that you're going to fix.
That's true.
So our Mike and Edwin on our team are great. They have a lot of institutional knowledge, and they know where practically every fire hydrant and gas line around there, because they went and mapped it at one point.
Because I've been there quite a long time, and I've always remembered Edwin and Mike, said, "Oh, well, we got to go map," and they would, and then if you were to see them out, you would think, "What are they doing?"
Yeah, they've had some interesting stories where they're driving around communities looking at, when we do a plan, we might assess the road condition or housing conditions, and so they're driving up and down streets making notes, and people have had some questions about what are y'all doing on my street?
Yeah, what are you doing? Call the police on them. So, but that's interesting. I mean, and you have to have all that knowledge to make all those maps, because like you said, I mean, people need to know where sewage lines are, they need to know where water lines are, if things need to be replaced, for all that stuff, which goes into the development.
Right.
And all that.
It's all a cycle. It all works together.
So, well, that makes a lot of sense. So, looking ahead, what are the key priorities for East Alabama in shaping the future of East Alabama's communities? What do you think?
So, our priorities really are making sure, I mentioned it sort of earlier on, is making sure all of our communities are getting their fair share. I want us to get as much access to the funding we need. Water and sewer are huge. I know I've mentioned those several times, but to make sure that people have clean water and a way to get rid of their sewage, that has a tremendous impact on quality of life. As we're supporting local governments, those are some of their key functions, is making sure the roads are clear and safe, and also that they have good utilities, so water and sewer. So making sure that folks have a safe way to get to work and safe water to drink at home are really important.
Well, yeah, that's very important.
Yeah.
And I know that earlier we talked about, I know I'm jumping all over the place, but we were talking about the, what was the first graphic we were talking about?
Oh, the community development block grants.
Yeah, the block grant, and you were given some examples of that. The Sinclair thing, I think I've seen something like that about the Sinclair project or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's part of our Brownfield program, the Sinclair Social, but we were able to use some of our grant funds to help kind of remediate some underground tanks and do some environmental work on some on that property there in
that makes
downtown
sense
Anniston.
now that you said that.
So that's one of many programs. So we handle that community development block grant that comes from the state and through Housing and Urban Development. We also work with Appalachian Regional Commission, Economic Development Administration, EPA. There's a bunch of different federal funders that we work with to make sure that when someone has a need, that we're able to find a grant to support that.
Okay. Wow. I mean, that's a lot.
So if there's a problem, we'll go and hunt down a solution to help them meet it.
And you know, I always thought that my program was so multifaceted because I always overwhelm myself, Candace, and Lana, my team, and we always, like, when we go out in the public, we talk in the communities about our program. They're like, now wait a minute, you know, because there's so many components to it, but planning and development's the same way. I mean, you have a lot of different little things going on, like a pocket of.
Right, we're experts at a lot of different things that touch at a lot of different folks' lives through different aspects of their local government. So roads and bridges and broadband, all sorts of different aspects.
But how
there.
wonderful is that you get to help your communities and say, you know what, I help that.
No,
you know
absolutely.
what I mean?
There's nothing quite like going to a town where you were able to help someone solve a really unique challenge in that area. That's a really special thing.
And I know that, like, even with myself, we just got a letter from a client that was heartfelt, right?
For sure.
And when you get that and you see the fruits of your labor, I mean, it's very rewarding. I'm sure it is.
Yeah, it's great to show up at a city hall and have the city clerk come and hug your neck because you helped them with this thing that they've been working on for a long time.
Right.
And so yeah, there's a lot of small projects that might be small dollar figures, but if you're able to help a community put in a walking track or a dog park or
just little things that
seem
improve
little
their lives.
Things that seem little to us on the grand scale, but do improve quality of life. Local governments, like we were talking about before, they touch so many aspects of people's life from the minute you walk out the door or turn on the tap. Your local government has so much impact on you, and maybe folks don't always recognize that, but we're proud to be able to support those local government entities and help them meet those needs.
And we're going to talk more to Eric about some more things. So we will be right back, and we're going to take a short break. You are watching WEAC TV 24's Rise and Shine with the Alabama Cares program. We'll be right back.
At Alexandria Brake and Muffler, we strive to perform exceptional service using premium quality parts to ensure your vehicle withstands the test of time. We do all automotive maintenance and repairs consisting of AC service, check engine light diagnostics, brakes, coolant, and exhaust. Give us a call today. Proudly serving our community to provide honest, high-quality service and repair at a fair price.
Hello, my name is Bob Couch, and I'm the owner of Couch's Jewelers. We are your destination for engagement rings, wedding bands, and anniversary and birthday gifts. We offer a wide selection of the best value diamond jewelry and engagement rings. We even gift wrap every purchase for free. And if you have some jewelry that is broken, no worries. Expert jewelry service is offered in-house. At Couch's Jewelers, our customer service is unmatched. If you'd like a special jewelry item created just for you, please come to see us.
I'm Alan Parnell, Parnell Insurance Agency. We've been here in Oxford and Alabama, Tallapoosa, Georgia since 1990. With Auto Owners Insurance, we're able to give customers competitive pricing along with excellent coverages. Parnell Insurance can handle all of your personal, commercial, and life insurance needs. We have a very experienced staff, both personal and commercial. All together, we've got about 125 years experience. Come see what our insurance agency can do for you in Oxford, Alabama and Tallapoosa, Georgia.
Auto Owners Insurance.
At Southern States Bank, we pride ourselves on being your bank. We're your neighbors and involved in the community. We're the bank featuring the Southern Rewards checking account, a cashback account with no ATM fees. We are on the cutting edge and always have a smiling face to help you out. So, come to Southern States Bank, where we are committed to great service and being a great neighbor. Let us be the bank for you and your business.
Welcome back, everyone. You're watching Rise and Shine with the Alabama Cares program here on WEAC TV 24, and we are visiting with Eric Wright, who is the Director of Planning and Development at East Alabama Planning Commission, and we've been talking about lots of things. So if you missed the first part of the show, make sure that you go back to WEAC TV 24's Facebook page or on YouTube, and you can play it back. So we were talking before the break, Eric, about how people do not realize the impact that your local government has on you every single day in our everyday life. And I think the analogy that you used was very good, so I want you to repeat that.
Sure. So I think a lot of folks think about the government, they think about the federal government and state government
yes.
and all these layers of government that seem kind of far removed. But from the minute you turn on the faucet, from the minute you step out of your front door to the sidewalk or to the street, you're relying a lot on your local government.
Yes.
And you expect when you turn the tap that water's going to come out and that it's going to be clean and safe. And that's a big responsibility. And our local governments, every time, they are meeting that need. So help and support those local governments, whether it's a city or a town or a county, they all have tremendous impacts every day, whether it's the garbage pickup.
Garbage, that's a big one.
As soon as your garbage doesn't get picked up, you've got a problem.
Yes.
And if there's loose dogs in your neighborhood, you're calling your city. Or if there's police and fire, all those public safety aspects, all those things are local government functions, and they're people that you have a direct impact on, whether it's your city council or your mayor.
Right.
Those folks are just very accessible, and you can go to your city council meetings, your county commission meetings, and have a voice and go talk to those people who have a big impact on you and your friends and your neighbors' daily life.
And we hope we never have to call the police, the EMTs, or the fire department, but you always want them to be there and to take care of issues that arise, because you feel, we take it for granted.
Yeah.
I think that's a good word. I mean, we take it for granted that, they're there. You know what I mean? Like,
parks and sidewalks and all these things that we just take for, it's very easy to take for granted.
Things that we enjoy every day. Like you said, parks. I mean, and recreation that our children are in, that they participate in. If it wasn't for municipalities and all the local governments, then that wouldn't even exist.
And all that ties back into the economic development, because companies are not going to locate in places that don't have a strong civic identity, a strong community, and strong assets and amenities. So
that's smart.
It all works together.
Yeah, I mean, people don't realize how all that intertwines with each other, right? So how is the Calhoun County Area Metropolitan Planning Organization, that's another acronym. MPO.
Yeah.
So if he says MPO, that means Metropolitan Planning Organization. So working to improve, how are they working to improve transportation options for residents, and particularly in terms of bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure? And I know that to me, that's very interesting, because this area has grown especially in regards to the bicycle communities that come here to visit, and more people locally are getting more interested in it too, because so many people travel here for the Ladaga Trail, for the race that they have every April here in Anniston, and for the Chakalaka mountain bike trail as well.
So our MPO,
elaborate on the MPO.
Yeah, sure. Our MPO it handles a lot of the roads and other infrastructure for transportation inside Calhoun County. So inside, they call it the urbanized area, basically where a lot of people are living. So people may not think of it as a metro area like New York City, but it is a classification that where we're certainly different inside here in the heart of Calhoun County than we are maybe in more rural parts of the county, where there's just when there's houses, neighborhoods, and all that, where there's dense folks. So we're able to help support road projects, but also one of the special things is we can help facilitate bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure. So over the years, that's led to things like helping support the Chief Ladiga Trail over initially kicking off that process and helping acquire property over 20 some odd years ago. And it's exciting that Anniston is on the verge of completing their section coming in to downtown Anniston. But we're also able to help, like right now we're helping Oxford with a bicycle pedestrian plan. So they're able to, we just had some public meetings on it recently, but they're able to look at where the community says that we need bike lanes or sidewalks or paths. So we're able to help find those linkages and get that community feedback of where it's needed, which will then help us do projects to actually make those connections happen. So that's an exciting piece. Anniston's doing a project right now that we're helping with through the MPO, where they're actually redoing their design manual to help say this is what it looks like to have a bike lane in Anniston, or this is what the signage should look like, or this is what a crosswalk should look like. So we're able to help them make sure that all of their facilities for both folks that are on bicycles or the folks that are walking all meet their needs and
are safe.
And are safe and just reflect what the community wants. That's the heart of the planning efforts. It's not what I want or what you want. It's what the community wants.
What the community wants and what they need.
What they need.
Yeah. So wow. Okay. And so you guys did help with the Ladiga Trail as well.
So. Correct. We didn't help with this very last. We're not paying for the construction or anything of this last section. Anniston's done a great job and shown some leadership in that piece there. But we've been able to, through the process, help do some of the utilities relocation right of way and helping kind of acquire property. It's the result of efforts over several years, several decades to help make that happen. It's taken a lot of folks at the table, and the MPO has been one of those seats at the table to help bring folks together to make that happen, and we're proud of that effort.
Wow. So are there any other projects the MPO is helping with right now that's going on currently? Or is it just, and before we talk about that, people were saying urban, Calhoun County urban, but I get it because, people don't realize that, like in Anniston, Oxford, Jacksonville, that's where more your resources are. That's where most of your people are, your population, more traffic, more access to different types of resources and so forth, versus when you go further out in the countryside or more in the county, like Piedmont areas, Alexandria, Pleasant Valley, out toward those areas. I get it. That's what he's talking about when he's talking about the urban part. Just like in Talladega County is Talladega, Sylacauga is your more urban, whereas Alpine, Renfro, all those places are more county. So that's what he means.
Right. And so inside the MPO area we have Jacksonville, Hobson City, Weaver, Anniston, and Oxford. They're all part of that kind of core urbanized area, and it really just comes down to some of that GIS I was talking about before. It's basically how many people per square mile, how dense are those neighborhoods, and that's where we're able to kind of do some of these planning efforts and bring some of those kind of road projects. So across that entire MPO area, there's probably 50 or 60 projects going on.
Oh wow!
Because we're also planning out.
That's why you're so busy.
we stay busy. We're also planning out ahead. So we're thinking we're doing a long range plan right now that's going to be a 2040 plan, and that sounds like a long way out, but
it'll be here.
Before you know it, from putting together roads, we have to really think about where our entire area is going, so that we can plan ahead to make sure that we have those roads where they need to be.
Right.
Something like the bypass doesn't happen overnight. That happens over decades of planning.
Right.
And so some of the projects we've got going on, if you've ever been on Quintard, we have a signal retiming project going on Quintard right now to help look at those traffic signals, make sure they're timed for the most efficient flow of traffic. We're also working on a project to do a crosswalk by the Anniston Museum and Gardens there.
Oh.
we're working on a project to redo the bridge on Airport Road here in Oxford. We've also got some projects coming down the pipe that are on Friendship Road to redo some of the bridges out there. So we're looking at a variety of bridges and road.
And that's just Calhoun County. And our audience, we span to everybody, so I'm sure he's in your county too, in Cleburne, Etowah, and Clay, and
so
yeah, all those counties.
So, and those are just from that Calhoun MPO.
Yeah, that's just from the Calhoun MPO. So can you imagine what
all across?
Yeah, that's amazing.
All across the region.
That's amazing, and thank you for all of that. That's amazing what all the MPO does. And again, MPO stands for
Metropolitan Planning Organization.
Okay, so that they will know. So can you tell us a little bit about the recent $1.5 million EPA Brownfield Coalition Assessment Grant? I think that was awarded to the East Alabama Planning and Development Commission, our agency. Got that. Right. And what are the main objectives of this program?
We're really excited about the Brownfield program. So again, trying to do a little bit of terminology. The Brownfield is anything that's been previously developed before.
And there's the graphic.
There you go.
Okay.
So across our region, we know that there are properties that have been developed in the past, but now are vacant or just not being used. And an example of that's the old Sinclair gas station there in downtown Anniston. It was a Sinclair gas station service station many years ago,
right?
But it wasn't being used anymore, and someone wanted to redevelop that. But there's often a legacy of environmental contamination or some questions about what was there. And so through this grant, we're able to help do environmental assessments. So we're able to come in and look at property and say, yes, it's safe to redevelop, or we can pull fuel tanks out if they're underground buried fuel tanks.
Oh, wow.
But really go and help folks look at property, and back to the economic development question from before, really help make it easy to develop projects and help kind of remove some of the uncertainty about what was there, are there contamination, was there asbestos, was there lead, all those different things.
What to go in there, and I want you to elaborate on that, but we're going to take a break first. Okay, it's time to recognize our sponsors again, and we're going to take a short break. And you are watching Rise and Shine with the Alabama Cares program right here on WEAC TV 24, and don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Eric Wright.
Since 1848, First Bank of Alabama has been serving East Central Alabama. Now serving 6 counties in East Central Alabama. We now currently have 13 locations, expanding to 15 locations. In 2024, we opened Anniston, right here in Calhoun County. Whenever we first came to Calhoun County, it was 2019 in Oxford. Whenever we're expanding, we're now going to Jacksonville in 2025. We look forward to continuing to be in your local hometown bank right here in Calhoun County and East Central Alabama.
Serving Calhoun County and the state of Alabama since 1994, locally owned and operated, offering some of the most competitive interest rates in the mortgage industry, along with a wide variety of mortgage products. We are with you throughout the home buying process, offering you service before and after the close. Fast, reliable, local.
And you remember, if you need a home loan, call my daddy.
Hey guys, I'm Cameron Minton with Minton Home Center. Minton Home Center has been in business for over 40 years. We are a family-owned and operated manufactured home dealership. We offer affordable housing for our customers, as well as a multitude of different financing options to help our customers get into a new home. When you come to Minton Home Center and you start looking around our lot, the first thing you will notice is that we have the most competitive prices in the industry.
Hey guys, this is Blair Smith at Pediatrics Plus here in Anniston, located on Henry Road. I'm over here on the well side, but we do also have a 6-side urgent care if you need us. We are more than happy to see you guys. Just come on, check us out if you get a fever, cough, or cold, or want to come in for a good checkup. Thank you.
So we were talking to Eric Wright here, who is the Director of the Planning and Development here at EAC, East Alabama Regional Planning and Development Commission. I call it EAC. But we were talking about the EPA Brownfield Coalition Assessment Grant, and that you look at abandoned properties and so forth. And You were talking about the Sinclair was one of those that you looked into that, and we want to keep talking about this because this is very interesting to me. Okay, because one of the things that I just told you at break, one of the things that comes to mind is the old mill, the old cotton mill in Jacksonville that's abandoned. You know, so I guess you just because you did say that you don't supply the money to like fix the problems, you just assess the problem so that. Which makes sense, so that someone else who is willing to put the money up or whatever to develop that, they will know what they're getting into, correct?
Exactly. This is, it's almost like insurance, but it's, but we're able to go in and look at a property and say, this is what was there in the past, this is what contamination, or maybe not contamination, just what is there, so that when someone wants to develop a project on a property, that
like Sinclair, who had the underground tanks from the gas station, correct?
Right. And if you just walked up, say you wanted to develop something on the side of an old gas station, all of a sudden that might be a little scary to you as a developer or as a business owner.
Yeah, liability.
Exactly. You don't want to pick up that liability without knowing it.
Right.
Because that you should price that into your transaction, right? So we're able to help folks that are both selling and buying properties know what they're getting into. And in our region, there's so many old mills, old industrial sites, just schools. There's such a legacy of, like, we have a lot of things happening that have happened in our region over the last 100 and some odd years, and it helps folks unlock properties to know what's there. So if folks are interested in that one, they just have to reach out to us, and we will. This is one of those strange ones where there's no such thing as a free lunch. This one's a free lunch. We've got ability to do those completely for free.
For free. And again, you have to call 256-237-6741 and ask for you.
Ask for me, and I'll
ask for Eric Wright.
We'll get it in the pipeline and start looking at those properties and help folks get what they need. Any folks that are looking at buying, especially old industrial or commercial sites, we're able to help those.
And asbestos, I guess, would be an issue too, because just like, you know, I know that Carolyn Oates, I mean, I know that those properties, that's a, well, not a nursing home, but a
retirement facility.
Yeah, like it's not even retirement. What is it? Long-term care. Sorry,
sure,
like a long-term care facility.
We're in your neck of the woods now. Your expertise.
I had a fog. It's Friday. I mean, but so. I know that they developed their properties from the old schools, like Cleveland County High School was redone into one, Lincoln High School.
Right.
And I know that they got some, if I'm not mistaken, I think they got like a grant too from the Historic Society, because you have to keep so much of the original wood and all that good stuff. But I'm sure that somebody had to go in there and say, well, is there asbestos in the ceilings or in the wall or...
Absolutely. Anything that was, any paint that people used in the 70s and 80s, before
lead,
before some year in the 80s, I think. But basically, all paint had lead in it. So that's
amazing.
So lead remediation, or knowing if there's lead and testing for that, is an important thing that we can do. Asbestos tile, pipe insulation, all those sort of things, and the team that does the environmental assessments are able to kind of research what would have been there and what materials have been used, and if they need to sample, they can do the sampling.
So do you partner with someone that does that?
Right, we have some experts that we work with that that know this backwards and forwards, and we're able to kind of help make these assessments happen.
So if you're out there thinking that you're wanting to develop a business or develop some type of property and you're unsure of it, then this is the man you need to talk to.
Just let us know. We're happy to help. So anything for economic development in our area, we're able to help.
I guess the planning projects that are going on in East Alabama, we kind of already talked a little bit about them. Any other ones that you can think of?
So we have a variety of planning projects going on at any time. We talked a little bit about comprehensive plans early on, but we also do some zoning pieces where we help folks with their zoning ordinances. So we're working on a comprehensive plan down in Chambers County in Lafayette, where we have projects wrapping up, one in Sylacauga, one in Weaver. So we've got projects where we're really helping folks kind of map out their future, their long-range future for their community.
So stay tuned, all you municipalities.
And we're always looking for communities to help with their comprehensive plans. Those are a long-term document to put together, and they're supposed to last for a few years. So as folks need comprehensive plans, we're able to plug in. Most folks don't have most of our smaller cities don't have a bunch of city planners working for them.
No.
So we're able to sort of come in as needed.
Very small, some of them.
And
very limited.
And that's okay. That's why we're here. We're at the regional level. That's where we're here to sort of be some reserve expertise that they can call when they need us. So we're always excited about working on those comprehensive plans because it's exciting to help communities vision for their future.
So what is your, just off the top of your head, so you've been in this position, we talked about that a little bit earlier, coming on 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And you came from the city of Gadsden. Mm-hmm. So while you have been at East Alabama in this role, working with projects and so forth, is there anything that just comes quickly to your mind, the first thing that you think, wow, that was awesome, we did that, you know? Because I know we all have stories, but
I think the ones where we're able to help folks add clean water, so making sure that people we're able to add water hookups to people's homes from some of our more rural water authorities. So folks that had well water before and then are able to then go just turn on the tap and have plumbed in pre-treated water. Those are the most impactful ones, just to me personally, just because that seems like we're having just such a daily granular impact on people's lives where they're able to have that free
things
access.
that most of us take for granted.
It's very easy to take for granted.
I said that earlier, that I guess that is a good word to use because we do take that for granted. That water's always going to be there because we don't have a well, don't have to worry about it going dry. We don't have to worry about it not working or that kind of thing, or it being clean, like you said. Yeah.
And so helping those communities, whether they're big or small, they all need to keep like those pipes underground. Something just happens when they're underground, and they just need to be repaired or fixed or replaced every once in a while. So
have you had anybody from the community come to you personally and think you or your team, or
we're more sort of on the front end,
or is it just the municipality part of it?
We tend to interface a lot with the folks in the municipalities. And we love for our mayors and our city council folks to take credit because they're the elected officials. They're the ones who are really the folks that are making it happen, and we're sort of that backup behind the scenes, helping make sure that all the documentation.
I always say, I'm the director of my program, but without my team behind me, I'm nothing.
Right.
So. I think that's huge to actually give kudos to that person that helps you. So I hope you get lots of that from your elected officials.
Yeah, our team does a really good job of working with those elected officials, and they know that they get the support. They know when they walk into City Hall, in some of our town hall in our smaller communities, where they've really made a huge impact. There's more than a few hugs from city clerks and city council folks
of awesome.
Stuff when they've helped make something happen. So
okay, so the loans and all that you guys can help with, grants and all that, that's just more for the municipalities, not an individual.
Right. Our team directly is there to serve those local governments. So we directly interface with those elected officials. So
okay. So if a person wants to start a business, you're not the one that's to call.
Unfortunately or fortunately, it's not me on this one. But if their city has an opportunity for our project, that's when we can kind of get involved. Okay.
Is there anything else that we've missed? Because we have time to talk here. So is there anything that we missed that you would like to talk about?
I guess the main thing is we have a really vibrant team who works really well together, and they're able to kind of feed off projects from one another and to build those projects. One community might have an idea and one person might have expertise. So we might be down, say in Lincoln, working on a planning project, and they're able to really generate a water project out of a planning effort. So that's just one thing to recognize is how we've just got a strong team that's really working on behalf.
And who's on your team?
So we have several planners. So we have Jillian Farmer. She's one of our project coordinators. She's been there for a while. Shelby Peterson is our principal planner who does a lot of our comprehensive planning efforts. Elizabeth Harker, she's a regional planner who does a lot of grant work as well as planning. And then Elizabeth Wright, she is our MPO coordinator. I mentioned Edwin and Mike before. So Edwin Harbin and Mike Brewer are on our GIS team and really make those maps come to life. So that's the team right now. And so they do a really great job in making sure across all 10 counties from all over, they spend some long days in the car or on Zoom meetings, helping make sure it happens. But they're excellent folks who make sure the job gets done.
I think it's always good too. I just use my program as an example, but I think someone on your team that's from outside that community sees things in a different light, just as my team and myself, when we go into a home or talk to that caregiver that's got blind, that it's not so much that they have blinders on, but they're just so in their moment that they can't see anything because they're so overwhelmed. And I think that, am I right? It's a little bit the same that your team can go in there to talk to the elected officials and say, okay, well, let's look at this.
Right. It is a helpful thing for us to just go out and sometimes we'll just go and ride with the mayor or a public works director or somebody and say like, hey, show me where do you get the most calls? What's the most challenging area? Where are you always having to go fix something, some pipe somewhere, and to help them generate ideas for projects, because sometimes it's hard when you're in it day to day.
And I'm just giggling because my dad was he was the utility manager for superintendent for Dyersville for years, and I remember this one particular street when I was growing up. Every time his beeper, a long time ago, every time his pager would go off, I remember saying, well, Papa, are you going to? Because I knew exactly. Right. or he would be preaching in the pulpit and his pager would go, or his radio would go off. Winston called the fire department, or whatever. And I always remember it was like 2 different streets all the time. So that makes sense. Yeah. Makes sense. There might be a problem there.
And sometimes there's a problem, and sometimes they may be able to patch something here
but you can only patch so much.
And then hopefully we're able to come in and help them with a big fix and help really get those, like I said at the beginning, I want to make sure that all of our communities are getting their fair share.
Right.
And getting all those.
And that's
those
wonderful though, because to help them realize that patching this up every single time is not the long-term solution to this. So
we're glad to be able to help with that sort of long-term visioning and long-term solutions. So.
Oh wow. So I appreciate you being here today.
Thanks for having me.
I really do. And I want to remind everyone to call the office for Eric if you need to talk to him about developing an abandoned property or anything like that you can talk to Eric, and it's 256-237-6741. And what's your extension? Do you have
149.
Extension 149, or you can just ask for Eric, right? So I want to remind you of that, and I do appreciate you being here. I learned a lot. And I want to also remind you guys too that the Alabama Cares monthly events that we have at the Oxford Civic Center that are free. So March 25th, and hey, that's the day before my birthday. So y'all come down and wish me happy birthday, right? So I need you guys to come to that. It's a free program, and this month is Nutrition Month. So we're going to actually have, I think we have a nutritionist a dietitian that's coming to speak. We'll have vendors there, free door prizes. Guys, we'll have door prizes. It's always awesome to have door prizes. Our vendors are awesome. So that's the year of all the different events that we're having every month, and it is at the Oxford Civic Center, and it's from 10 to 12 on March 25th. So we hope to see you there. It will be aired on WEAC TV 24 3 days a week. It's only a 30-minute show, so if you don't come, you kind of miss a lot. Plus, you miss all the door prizes and all the freebies that our vendors give away. Right. They give away some great things, and it's an opportunity for you to talk to them as well. So we do appreciate you joining in with us this morning, and it is Friday, so I make all my, well, I don't make, but I always always ask for all my guests to do the Friday dance. So we do
Okay.
a Friday. It's Friday. Hey, Eric did it. Yay. Good sport. So it's Friday. We hope
Peer
that you
pressure.
have a most wonderful weekend. Stay safe, and we will see you next Friday right here on WEAC TV 24, Rise and Shine with the Alabama Cares Program. Goodbye, everyone. Have a great weekend.